Ahoy, everyone. It's David Eugene Perry, and we are back in the Zoom room with interviews with interesting people from around the world, and this time from a galaxy far, far away. Actually, not too far, Petaluma to be exact. Please welcome to the Zoom room Stephen Sansweet, founder of Rancho Obi-Wan. Steve, welcome.
Thank you, David. Good to see you again.
So please tell everyone who is unfortunately not in the know where and what is Rancho Obi-Wan.
Rancho Obi-Wan is in a semi-residential area in Petaluma on the west side, which is about 40 miles or an hour drive north of San Francisco. The wonderful small town that I moved to when I joined Lucasfilm in the mid 90s. And Rancho Obi-Wan is the world's largest collection, according to the Guinness Book of World Records, of Star Wars memorabilia. We've got 400 to 500,000 pieces in the collection. And we do guided tours with our docents on Saturdays. And you can book online by going to ranchoobiwan.org.
Well, as a huge Star Wars fan for many years, I have been there, loved the collection. I mean, it is for a science fiction, science lover, Star Wars fan. Really, it is the closest thing to going to Tatooine from my point of view. And of
And
course, I
not quite as hot.
no, occasionally no, but summers in Petaluma, they can be toasty. I remember from our place in Guerneville. But also, as you know, I was lucky enough to work for George Lucas for a number of years as his spokesperson on his museum project. And I know that he's very supportive of this project. But Rancho Obi-Wan is a private nonprofit, which is exactly why we're talking today, because besides memberships, you depend upon donations. So there's a big event going on in October, but not in Petaluma, in Seattle. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, this is the first fundraiser that we've had since 2018. We've had numerous fundraisers here at Rancho Obi-Wan, but we decided to do something different and very exciting. So we're going to Seattle at MOPOP, the Museum of Popular Culture, which was founded by Paul Allen, who is a major collector and fan of science fiction and music.
Yeah.
This was originally a music museum, has lots of displays of Jimi Hendrix items and things of amazing rock musicians through the years, but also a big selection of science fiction items, including some major Star Wars items. So we decided to go to a town where two of our major directors are a guy named Gus Lopez, who probably has one of the best collections of movie props and costumes from Star Wars, and Lisa Stevens and Vic Wertz, who have a separate collection of prototype toys and lots of documentation, and just two amazing collections. And it will be possible to visit their collections as an add-on ticket. So all the information is at ranchoobiwan.org, but we're looking forward to this October 5th, Saturday evening at Mopop to support what we do at Rancho Obi-Wan.
Right. And I can tell you, because I'm well aware of what's going on with the event, it's going to be a fun party. I know there's going to be an auction. There's going to be some special memorabilia and unique tchotchkes for sale. There's even a collection of Star Wars guitars. So making that connection between music and Mopop. And from my point of view, being able to take the monorail into the museum, it's pretty doggone cool, I tell you. Listen, people over the years have asked me, because I've been part of the Star Wars and Lucas family for a long time, as have you, what is the staying power of Star Wars? There's a message here. It's more than just space geekiness.
Well, Star Wars changed my life, so I guess I'm a pretty good person to talk about Star Wars. It was the excitement of the movie. It was so different back in 1977. It was the story, it was the characters, it was the visual effects of the movie. It was the sense of community that Star Wars has engendered in the fandom around the world. And that sense of community still exists. That's what makes our Star Wars celebration conventions every other year so large and exciting, is that people want to get back together with people that they've met at previous conventions and other opportunities to share stories and share their lives with fellow fans from all over the world. And Star Wars remains that today. There's so many entry points into Star Wars today. The movies, the television series, the novels, the comics, the merchandise. I know a little something about that merchandise. In fact, the two of us originally met because you were doing public relations for the Yerba Buena Center, which hosted one of the very first Star Wars exhibits in the
You're
world.
you're exactly correct. You took my lead away from me. 1993, I get a call from this reporter for the Wall Street Journal going, "What does the Wall Street Journal know about Star Wars?" And I was the communications director at Yerba Buena Center for the Arts. And the first exhibit that really put that institution on the map was called The Art of Star Wars. And our curator at the time, Rennie Pritikin, had this brilliant idea. He said, and I think it's been proven by now many exhibits around the world that teach history and science and archaeology using the Star Wars universe, that the things that went into the creation of the original Star Wars film had become part of our cultural vocabulary, because this is before computer graphics. I remember the original Death Star was in our lobby, and it was about the size of a large beach ball. There was the Land Cruiser, and we even brought over Darth Vader. I remember one of my better PR ideas was a slow news day. We brought Darth Vader and the Imperial Stormtroopers and Boba Fett. We hijacked the ferry from San Rafael near Lucas Ranch, and we took Darth Vader to San Francisco Ferry Building. Mayor Frank Jordan surrendered the city to Darth Vader. We took him on a motorized cable car to Yerba Buena, and there outside were over 5,000 people standing in line. It was the most fun to this day I've ever had.
Yeah, Star Wars just raises the level of excitement among people all over, even people who are not dyed-in-the-wool Star Wars fans. It's something about that shared experience of seeing Star Wars or knowing people who love Star Wars. And as I said, there's so many entry points into Star Wars. We've got a multi-generational audience for Star Wars. And part of the fun of Rancho Obi-Wan is sharing the collection that I've acquired over these 47 plus years with fans from all over the world. We have today, for example, we have two fans from the UK who have won a promotional contest to visit San Francisco for a long weekend and visit Rancho Obi-Wan. So they're touring the collection even as we speak.
Yeah. Well, it is just magical what the Star Wars universe does for people. I and my own family have multi-generational support. A few years ago, I remember a dear cousin of ours, 10 years old, who had pediatric cancer, wanted to meet a Star Wars character. And the 501st of Richmond, Virginia, visited him, and along came Darth Vader. And I remember my cousin Cooper looked up to Darth Vader very courageously and said, "You know, why are you so mean?" So I think it's also important to talk about that. The Star Wars family includes some real charitable work. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, the 501st is now more than 10,000 men and women around the world, uh, divided into organizations, individual organizations in states and countries. And they do charitable work. They visit hospitals like pediatric cancer wards. They raise money for charities such as Make a Wish and similar organizations in other countries. We have the Rebel Legion. We have the Mando Mercs. So these people get a chance to dress up in costumes of their favorite characters and go out and do something good. It's bad people doing good. And it's amazing because it gives them a chance to get out there and show their love for Star Wars, but also their love for community. And the organization was founded by a guy named Albin Johnson, and Albin lost his leg in an auto accident back in the mid '90s, and was laid up for about a year, and was thinking of something to do. The special editions were coming up, and so he and a friend got into these plastic spaceman costumes, which of course were stormtroopers, and showed up in the lobby of a movie theater in South Carolina, and the rest is history. George Lucas was so impressed that when Star Wars celebrated its 30th anniversary, we had a Star Wars spectacular at the annual Rose Parade in Pasadena, California. And I remember my boss coming to me and saying, Steve, I just had a meeting with George, and George wants to do the Rose Parade, and he wants 200 stormtroopers. And I said, oh, well, that's not going to be too difficult. We'll get a lot of folks from Southern California, and then we'll bring in people as we need them from Northern California. He said, no, George wants them from all over the world, and he wants to pay for that. And so we had 200 stormtroopers that I recruited from all over the world, from everywhere from Japan to Australia to New Zealand to Europe. And it was an amazing situation. We had 2 floats in the parade, and it was truly a Star Wars spectacular. But so George is very much understanding of the fans who have supported Star Wars all these years and made it the cultural icon that it is.
Absolutely. And I remember George himself saying to me one day that it's the fans that created the Star Wars universe. It's the reason that movie became successful and went from 35 screens to, well, the ginormous success it is now. And of course, there really is no greater philanthropist in the world today than George. So my hat is off in a salute to the creator, as people call him. In our last few moments, tell me what is next. I know there's going to be some news announced up on October 5th in Seattle, and I want to remind people, get your tickets now, because we are pretty sure this is going to sell out, and you want to go to ranchoobiwan.org. We've already got people buying tickets from around the country. It's going to be a Star Wars party of galactic proportions. But what is next for Rancho Obi-Wan? What can you tell us?
Well, our directors have been strategizing on long-term plans for the last 3 years. And we have some exciting announcements. We're in the process of making these long-range plans, and we're going to make a major announcement in Seattle at the event on October 5th. So you can be there when history is made in the Star Wars collecting community.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to it. Well, Steve, it's always a pleasure speaking with you. I have to say you were always my favorite Wall Street Journal reporter. And of course, now you are my favorite Star Wars fan. Last question. What is your Star Wars name? Because I have a Jedi name and a Sith name. I wonder, do you as well?
A Graybeard Jedi.
Graybeard Jedi. I can't believe it. Looks like you were surprised. I thought you would have one. I signed.
No, I've never done that.
Well, maybe for once I'm geekier than you. My Jedi name is Obi-Wan Virginius, and if I'm in a bad mood, I sign it Darth Dominius, of course, inspired by my home state of Virginia. Any clothing thoughts?
You are geekier than I am. But I want to welcome people who are watching this and who are local in the North Bay or who visit the North Bay or the San Francisco Bay Area to go online, look at ranchoobiwan.org, look at buying tickets to our fundraiser, and visit Rancho Obi-Wan on a Saturday tour.
Absolutely. And on Saturday, October 5th, I hope a lot of people jet in, use a wormhole, use a Star Cruiser, use whatever you can to get to Mopop in Seattle for Saturday, October 5th. We've been speaking with Steve Sansweet, the founder and director of the nonprofit Rancho Obi-Wan. So dig deep and give in to continue this amazing organization. This is David Eugene Perry. Ahoy.